For years, Steven Seagal was seen as an invincible warrior in action films. On screen, he seemed capable of defeating anyone with just one hand. But what happens when the scripted fights end and a real challenge begins? Behind that image of strength and dominance hid a man who avoided facing his arch-rival, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Every opportunity to showcase the martial skills he boasted about, Steven Seagal chose to run rather than fight.
What about Steven Seagal?
Can you tell Steven Seagal?
Who is Steven Seagal?
Okay,
Hello.
okay.
The actor, with his usual arrogance, claimed in interviews that no one dared to face him, insisting he was an unmatched master capable of defeating anyone. His comments about other fighters like Jean-Claude Van Damme fueled the tension, and everything was about to spiral out of control. But only one of them was willing to prove who was truly the best in a fair fight, without stunt doubles. At first, there were no confrontations or scandals in the headlines. But those paying attention to interviews and behind-the-scenes comments noticed something strange. Steven Seagal often belittled other martial artists, especially Van Damme, whom he dismissively called a dancer, referencing his ballet training. A disguised insult meant to diminish him without naming him directly.
Do you know Van Damme?
No.
You've heard of him?
It was a subtle, almost Machiavellian attack, but in the industry, the message was clear. Seagal had no respect for Van Damme, neither as an actor nor as a fighter. Stunt coordinators and crew members confessed that they were never invited to the same events. A single glance between them was enough to ignite tension. The risk of a confrontation felt more real than ever, and the gunpowder was there, a powder that eventually exploded at Stallone's party. If rivalry and speculation already existed, that party, which promised to be a pleasant gathering, soon became one of the most talked about events of the past decades, raising fans and media's expectations. At Sylvester Stallone's mansion, the man who had gathered the greatest legends in The Expendables, a party full of luxury and egos was underway. Among the guests were giants like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis, stars who defined an era. But there were also 2 men who had never shared a movie, a kind word, or respect: Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal. At first, the night seemed to flow normally, laughter, stories, and raised glasses. But soon, Seagal, true to his habit, began speaking, not about his own achievements, but to belittle others. According to Stallone, his comments quickly turned toward Van Damme, questioning his training, calling him overrated, and casting doubt on his authenticity as a martial artist. Perhaps Seagal didn't expect Van Damme to be listening, or maybe he just didn't care. But Van Damme heard, and this time, he wasn't willing to stay silent. What happened next has become legendary. Van Damme confronted Seagal face to face with no cameras, no stunt doubles. He didn't throw a single punch. Instead, he issued a challenge: step outside and settle it like true martial artists. Stallone recalls that Seagal tried to dismiss the situation with a nervous laugh, but Van Damme didn't back down. He insisted, challenging him to back up his words with action. Seagal declined and left the party, marking the first time he fled a direct confrontation with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Van Damme. Is that true he got in a fight with you?
No. It'd be like me squashing an ant.
But the story didn't end there. Later that same night, Van Damme found Seagal at a nearby club where he had gone to escape the tension. In front of stunned witnesses, he challenged him to fight once again. And, yet again, Seagal refused. This episode quickly became myth. Some claimed it was staged, others that it nearly turned violent. Stallone, however, confirmed years later that it was one of the most intense moments he had witnessed at a party. His words were clear. Van Damme was too strong. Seagal didn't want anything to do with it. For Van Damme, it wasn't a show or an ego outburst. It was a matter of honor. When someone questions your discipline, your training, your very essence as a martial artist, you don't respond with speeches or empty words. You respond with action. In his world, martial arts are not a performance. They are a code, And Seagal had betrayed that code by fleeing a direct confrontation for the second time. But the story doesn't end here. What comes next is worse than you can imagine. For years, both avoided any public confrontation. Not in the ring, not on screen, not even in words. It was a duel in the shadows, made of evasive glances and tense silences. But in 2023, Van Damme broke that silence with a revelation that shook the world of action cinema. In an interview with The Telegraph, he dropped the bombshell. He was offered $20 million to face Seagal in a real fight. No script, no stunt doubles, in the heart of Las Vegas, at the iconic The Mirage Casino. 2 black belts, 1 ring, and the chance to settle once and for all a rivalry that had shadowed their careers. Van Damme recounted the story with an almost mocking calm, as if recalling an absurd anecdote. Peter Guber offered $20 million to each of us to fight at the Mirage in Las Vegas. It wasn't a movie fight, with a script or stunt doubles, but a real fight, one-on-one in the ring. But Seagal didn't accept. The news hit like a punch to the gut for the industry and the fans. This wasn't a rumor or a fan fantasy, it was a real offer, orchestrated by Peter Guber, a Hollywood giant who saw in this match the ultimate spectacle. The money was on the table, the stage was set, and Van Damme was ready to fight. But Seagal was willing to flee for a third time, and that's exactly what happened. That refusal wasn't just about declining a fight, it was fleeing from the truth. It revealed more than fear or ego. It exposed the huge gap between image and reality, between what Seagal claimed to be and what he truly was. And the worst was yet to come. The next fight he ran from left him more shaken than you can imagine. By the late 1980s, Steven Seagal was at the peak of his power and fame. His early films had smashed the box office, and his image as an invincible martial arts master seemed unbreakable. But with success came arrogance. Seagal began speaking with excessive confidence, not only about his own skills, but openly belittling other martial arts legends. In interviews, he didn't hesitate to downplay the legacy of Chuck Norris, a karate and martial arts icon in the West, and even dared to question the almost mythical status of Bruce Lee, the man who revolutionized both cinema and martial arts. His words were not mere comments, they were direct attacks, delivered with a mix of hubris and contempt. Seagal proclaimed that no one had the courage to face him in a real fight, and that he was willing to battle to the death to prove it. These declarations not only sparked controversy but also enraged the martial arts community, who saw him as an arrogant imposter. Bob Wall, a close friend and training partner of Chuck Norris, wasn't about to let those words go unanswered. Wall, a respected karate veteran, decided to gather a select group of legendary fighters, true masters of real combat, to respond to Seagal's challenge. This group became known as the Dirty Dozen, a name evoking the toughness and determination of these warriors, which included figures like Bill Superfoot Wallace, Benny the Jet Urquidez, and other feared and respected champions worldwide. Tension escalated quickly. Specialized press and martial arts media began talking about a confrontation that could make history. It was the perfect opportunity for Seagal to prove that his fame wasn't just the result of acting and marketing. The challenge was made public. Any of the Dirty Dozen were willing to fight him. No script, no stunt doubles, in a real combat. Behind that silence lay more than fear. It was the fracture of a myth. While Seagal built his image of power and dominance, reality showed a man avoiding clashes with true warriors. The tension not only affected his reputation, but also planted deep doubts about the authenticity of his abilities. The story of the Dirty Dozen didn't end with a fight, but it did leave a clear lesson. In the real world of martial arts, words and fame are not enough. Yet the next challenge would hit him even harder, because this time, they even offered to let him fight by his own rules. We fast forward several decades to 2017, when boxing legend George Foreman, a colossus who won the heavyweight world title twice and remains a symbol of strength and resilience, issued a public challenge that shook social media and put Steven Seagal at the center of a new storm. Foreman, known for his direct demeanor and respect for true warriors, proposed an unprecedented fight, 10 rounds in Las Vegas. The rule was clear: Foreman would use only boxing, his ultimate weapon, while Seagal could employ any combat technique he wished, as long as he did not use weapons. Seagal's response? Deafening silence. Not a single word, not a signal, not even a statement from a representative. Behind that silence was more than just a refusal. It was the shadow of evasion, the flight of a man who, despite his tough guy image, was unwilling to face a true giant of the ring. Yet what came next, with Randy Couture, was even more astonishing and hard to defend. When Couture issued a challenge to Steven Seagal, it wasn't a mere publicity stunt or an ego-driven game. It was an invitation to face off in the arena where only the toughest survive, the octagon, with no scripts, no stunt doubles, no cameras, no special effects. A fight without limits, where the truth is revealed every single second. Although partially presented with a sense of humor, it was also a serious challenge, a genuine test of strength and skill that transcended any spectacle or promotion. Seagal, known for his on-screen aura of invincibility, surprised everyone by agreeing, but with one jaw-dropping condition. He insisted the match be secret, no witnesses, no cameras, far from any public or media setting. He wanted to settle it in the dark, as if afraid that the light of truth might shatter his myth. This episode not only tarnished Seagal's reputation further, but reinforced the impression that his legend was built more on smoke than on reality. Evasion once again became the answer, and the myth of the invincible warrior cracked a little more. The martial arts community and fans were left with a lingering question. What does Steven Seagal really hide behind that facade? A true master, or a man afraid to face reality? A confrontation, without throwing a single punch, occurred during the filming of Exit Wounds in 2001. The set wasn't just filled with explosions and action scenes. It was also charged with a palpable tension that could be felt in every corner. Two very different figures, two opposing philosophies of martial arts, faced each other. Steven Seagal, the self-proclaimed invincible master, and Michael Jai White, a true martial artist with an impeccable track record in karate, kickboxing, and other disciplines. From day one, the relationship between them was tense, almost explosive. To White, Seagal was more of a movie star than a real fighter, and he didn't hesitate to make it clear, even in private. Rumors of a potential physical confrontation began circulating heavily. Some crew members claimed the tension was so intense that a real fight could erupt at any moment. However, no punches were thrown, reportedly because Seagal had no interest in stepping into a real exchange.
Michael Jai White.
Can I laugh in your face?
And honestly, who in their right mind would face the multi-champion Michael Jai White, one of the most complete martial artists in history? In later interviews, Michael Jai White was blunt. "I didn't consider him a true martial artist." His statement resonated across the industry and among fans, who began to question Seagal's real skill. Seagal never responded, nor did he try to defend himself or his honor as a fighter after those words. Behind the cameras, the tension reflected much more than a simple rivalry between actors. It was the clash between authenticity and facade, between genuine respect for the martial arts and the construction of a screen persona. While White embodied dedication and technical mastery, Seagal seemed clinging to a myth that was crumbling more and more. If you've made it this far and enjoy these behind-the-scenes stories, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to keep enjoying our content, where action and adrenaline never stop.